Stop wasting your money on the wrong Harbor Freight brands. Walk through Harbor Freight and you'll see dozens of brands stacked across the shelves, all promising value and performance. But anyone who has spent real time in a garage knows the truth. Not every Harbor Freight brand is built to the same level of quality. Only 5 brands actually last. These are the brands mechanics keep reaching for in their toolboxes, the ones homeowners still mention in reviews years after buying them. So, in this video, we're breaking down the 5 Harbor Freight brands that last and are worth every penny you spend on them. And the first brand that makes this list is number 1, Icon. Icon is Harbor Freight's premium hand tool line, created specifically to compete with the professional tools mechanics usually buy from tool trucks. Harbor Freight introduced this brand to target users who wanted stronger tools, without paying the extremely high prices of brands like Snap-on or Matco. Instead of focusing on the lowest price possible, Icon focuses on heavier steel, tighter machining, and designs meant for repeated daily use. One of the first things you'll notice about Icon tools is the build quality. Pick up one of their ratchets, breaker bars, or socket sets, and the difference becomes obvious compared to many entry-level tools. The steel feels heavier, the tolerances are tighter, and the ratchet mechanisms usually have fine-tooth gears that allow smaller swing angles. That matters when you're working inside tight spaces like engine bays, suspension components, or cramped machinery where you can barely move your hand. Another interesting detail about Icon tools is where many of them are produced. A large portion of the line is manufactured in Taiwan, which is widely respected in the tool industry for producing high-quality hand tools. Many professional brands also use Taiwanese factories because of their consistent machining and heat treatment standards. That manufacturing reputation is one reason Icon tools often surprise people when they first use them. They don't feel like typical budget tools. In fact, many mechanics compare them directly with truck brands, especially when it comes to ratchets, sockets, and torque wrenches. Harbor Freight intentionally designed the line to compete with those premium tools, while offering them at a lower price point. Reviews across hardware forums, YouTube tool channels, and buyer feedback often highlight this same pattern. Many users say the tools feel solid, the grips are comfortable, and the machining quality is surprisingly precise for the price. Some Icon products, like socket sets and screwdriver sets, regularly receive very high customer ratings and positive durability feedback from both hobbyists and professionals. Another reason Icon stands out is the lifetime warranty Harbor Freight provides on most of its hand tools. If a ratchet fails, a socket cracks, or a wrench breaks under normal use, you can walk back into the store and replace it. That kind of warranty removes a lot of the risk for buyers who want something durable but still affordable. Of course, Icon is not the cheapest brand inside Harbor Freight. That's intentional. It sits at the top of the store's hand tool lineup and is designed for people who want something closer to professional equipment. For homeowners who maintain their own cars, DIY mechanics who use their tools every weekend, or even professionals looking for a solid backup set, Icon has become one of the most frequently recommended Harbor Freight brands. But ratchets and sockets are only part of a toolbox. When it comes to gripping, cutting, and pulling fasteners, the next Harbor Freight brand on this list has quietly built a strong reputation as well, especially among electricians and mechanics who rely on pliers every day. And if you're building a toolbox that can handle serious work, the next brand on this list is just as important, especially if pliers are part of the job. Number 2, Doyle. The next Harbor Freight brand that keeps showing up in durability discussions is Doyle, and if you've ever spent time researching pliers before buying them, you've probably seen this name come up again and again. Doyle is Harbor Freight's line of professional-style pliers, cutters, and gripping tools. When the brand was introduced, Harbor Freight wasn't trying to make the cheapest pliers on the shelf anymore. The goal was to build a line that could compete with the kinds of tools electricians, mechanics, and plumbers use every day. And that's where Doyle started getting attention. If you look through tool forums, YouTube tool reviews, or even customer reviews on Harbor Freight's own website, a pattern quickly appears. Buyers often say the same thing. The pliers feel surprisingly solid for the price. The steel feels heavier, the jaws close tightly, and the pivot joints stay firm even after repeated use. Now here's something important to understand about manufacturing. Harbor Freight sources tools from several regions around the world depending on the product. However, many of the Doyle pliers are commonly produced in Taiwan, a country that has developed a strong reputation for precision hand tool manufacturing. Taiwan produces tools for many well-known brands in the industry because of its consistent machining and heat treatment standards. That reputation is one reason Doyle tools often feel different from the older budget pliers Harbor Freight used to sell years ago. Let's talk about where cheaper pliers usually fail, because that's something a lot of buyers don't notice until it's too late. One common problem is jaw wear. On low-quality pliers, the teeth inside the jaws start to round off after gripping bolts or pipes repeatedly. Once those teeth lose their bite, the pliers begin slipping, and slipping tools are one of the fastest ways to damage bolts or injure your hands. Doyle tools tend to resist that problem better because their jaws are properly hardened, which helps the teeth maintain their grip longer during repeated use. Another failure point with many inexpensive pliers is the pivot joint. Cheap pliers often develop side-to-side play after months of use. When that happens, the tool stops closing cleanly, and gripping power drops dramatically. Many Doyle models use tighter pivot tolerances that help keep the joint stable longer. Then there's cutting performance, which matters a lot for electricians or anyone working with wiring. Budget cutters often dull quickly when cutting tougher wire or small bolts. Once the cutting edge dulls, the tool starts crushing wire instead of slicing through it. Many Doyle cutters use hardened cutting edges designed to stay sharp longer, which is why they often get strong feedback from users who work with electrical wiring or automotive harnesses. You'll also notice that Harbor Freight designed many Doyle tools to mirror the leverage geometry used by premium plier brands. That means you often get more cutting force with less hand pressure. For someone cutting wire repeatedly during a project, that difference becomes noticeable very quickly. And then there's the warranty. Like many of Harbor Freight's higher-tier hand tools, Doyle tools typically come with a lifetime warranty. If a tool fails during normal use, it can be exchanged at the store. That kind of policy adds confidence for buyers who want durability without paying premium brand prices. Of course, Doyle tools aren't trying to replace every professional brand on the market. But for homeowners, DIY mechanics, electricians doing side work, or anyone building a solid toolbox on a budget, Doyle has quietly become one of the Harbor Freight brands people trust the most. And while gripping tools are essential in any toolbox, the next brand on this list deals with something even more important: lifting heavy vehicles safely. Number 3. Daytona. Daytona stands out for a very important reason. While brands like Icon and Doyle focus on the tools in your hands, Daytona focuses on something even more critical in the garage: lifting heavy vehicles safely. And when you're dealing with equipment that is literally holding up thousands of pounds above you, durability isn't just about convenience, it's about trust. Anyone who has used a cheap floor jack long enough has probably seen the common problems start to appear. At first it works fine, then after a year or two, the hydraulic system begins to feel weaker. The jack starts lifting slower than it used to. Sometimes it struggles to hold pressure, and the car slowly sinks while you're working. Other times, the frame begins to flex under heavier vehicles, or the wheels refuse to roll smoothly when you try to reposition it. Those are exactly the kinds of issues that make people lose confidence in a jack very quickly. Daytona built its reputation by solving many of those problems. The first thing most people notice when they see a Daytona floor jack up close is the construction. Compared to many entry-level jacks, the frame is noticeably heavier and the welds appear stronger. That thicker steel structure helps the jack resist flexing when lifting heavier vehicles like trucks, SUVs, or larger sedans. This is important because frame flex is one of the silent problems in weaker jacks. When the lifting arm bends under load, it doesn't just feel unstable, it can also reduce the lifting efficiency of the hydraulic system. Another detail buyers often mention is the smoothness of the lifting action. Many Daytona models use quick lift pump systems, meaning the saddle rises quickly with fewer handle pumps. If you've ever used an older jack that requires 20 or 30 pumps just to reach the lifting point, you immediately appreciate the difference. But the real advantage shows up when the vehicle is already in the air. Some lower-tier jacks struggle to maintain hydraulic pressure, especially during longer repair jobs. Over time, the internal seals wear down, and the jack begins to slowly lose height. Even a small drop can make people uncomfortable when they're underneath a vehicle. Daytona jacks tend to maintain pressure much more consistently, which is why many users say they feel more confident using them during longer repairs. Another factor that contributes to their reputation is stability. A wide wheelbase and solid frame design help the jack stay balanced while lifting. That stability becomes especially important when lifting vehicles that sit lower to the ground or when the lifting point isn't perfectly centered. This combination of stronger frames, smoother hydraulics, and stable lifting design is why Daytona has become one of the Harbor Freight brand's mechanics talk about most often when discussing reliable garage equipment. Many buyers say they originally purchased a Daytona jack expecting a basic budget tool, but after years of use, they found it holding up far better than expected. Some even keep them in professional shops as backup jacks because of their reliability. Like the other brands on this list, Harbor Freight also backs many Daytona tools with strong warranties, which adds another layer of confidence for buyers who want dependable equipment without spending professional tool truck prices. And if you're getting value from this breakdown so far, and you want more guides that help you avoid wasting money on tools that don't last, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people find practical information like this when they're trying to make smarter buying decisions. Because lifting equipment is only part of what makes a solid garage setup. The next Harbor Freight brand on this list focuses on something that almost every toolbox uses daily: wrenches and sockets designed for real mechanical work. Number 4. Pittsburgh Pro. Socket sets, breaker bars, wrenches, extensions, ratchets. This line covers many of the core hand tools that mechanics and homeowners rely on constantly. And that's exactly why Pittsburgh Pro has become one of the most widely used Harbor Freight brands. One of the reasons this brand is so popular is simple: availability and reliability. Walk through the hand tool aisle and you'll notice Pittsburgh Pro products covering a large portion of the shelves. Harbor Freight built this line to be the step above their entry-level tools, stronger than the basic versions, but still affordable enough that homeowners and DIY mechanics can build an entire toolbox without spending thousands of dollars. And because these are tools people reach for every day, the design details matter. Take socket sets, for example. A common problem with lower quality sockets is that they can round off bolt heads. When the internal edges of the socket aren't machined properly, the pressure gets applied to the corners of the fastener instead of the flat sides. That's how bolts get stripped, and repairs become far more difficult than they should be. Many Pittsburgh Pro sockets use 6-point designs, which grip the flat sides of bolts more securely. That spreads the torque across a larger surface area and helps reduce the chance of damaging the fastener. Ratchets are another place where durability becomes obvious over time. Cheap ratchets often develop sloppy internal gears after repeated use. The direction switch may start slipping, or the mechanism may skip under heavy torque. Pittsburgh Pro ratchets are designed to handle regular mechanical work and are often mentioned in reviews as dependable tools for everyday repairs. Breaker bars are also a big part of the Pittsburgh Pro lineup. Anyone who has tried loosening rusted suspension bolts or stubborn lug nuts knows how much force is involved. With cheaper tools, the bar can twist or even snap under high torque. Pittsburgh Pro breaker bars are built with thicker shafts and reinforced pivot heads to handle those heavy loads. Another reason people stick with this brand is the sheer variety of tools available. Pittsburgh Pro covers everything from complete socket sets to torque adapters, extensions, impact sockets, and specialty hand tools. That wide selection makes it easy for someone building a new toolbox to stay within the same product line. Customer feedback across DIY forums, garage communities, and tool review channels often highlights the same experience. Many buyers originally purchased Pittsburgh Pro tools because of the price, expecting them to be temporary tools. But after years of use, they found the tools were still holding up, which is why the brand continues to get recommended to new buyers. And then there's the warranty. Like many Harbor Freight hand tools, Pittsburgh Pro products typically come with a lifetime warranty. If something fails during normal use, the replacement process is usually straightforward. You bring the tool back to the store and exchange it. For homeowners working on their own cars, people maintaining lawn equipment, or DIY mechanics tackling weekend repairs, Pittsburgh Pro has become one of the most recognizable and trusted Harbor Freight names. But while this brand covers many traditional hand tools in a garage, the final brand on this list focuses on something that homeowners use across countless projects: Power tools for drilling, cutting, and building. Number 5. Bauer. This one is important because it covers a category that many homeowners depend on constantly. Power tools, drills, impact drivers, circular saws, grinders, sanders, and demolition tools. These are the kinds of tools people reach for when they're building something, fixing something, or taking on a home project that requires real cutting or drilling power. And power tools are very different from hand tools when it comes to durability. With a wrench or socket, the biggest concern is usually the strength of the steel. But with power tools, there are far more components that can fail. Motors can burn out, internal gears can wear down, batteries can stop holding a charge, and electronic triggers can fail after repeated use. That's why many buyers are cautious when they see lower-priced power tools. Bauer built its reputation by offering a middle ground in that category. Harbor Freight created the Bauer line to give homeowners tools that feel more substantial than entry-level models, but still remain far more affordable than many premium power tool brands. The idea wasn't to compete directly with heavy industrial job site tools used every day by large construction crews. Instead, the goal was to create tools that can handle real home projects and regular DIY work without quickly wearing out. One of the first things people notice about Bauer tools is the size of the lineup. The brand covers a huge portion of Harbor Freight's power tool aisle. You'll find cordless drills, impact drivers, rotary hammers, circular saws, reciprocating saws, angle grinders, sanders, planers, and even demolition tools. That wide selection allows someone to build an entire workshop using the same tool family. Another major advantage is the shared battery system. Many Bauer cordless tools use the same battery platform, meaning one battery can power multiple tools. For homeowners working on several projects, that makes a big difference. Instead of buying a new battery with every tool, you can rotate the same battery between a drill, saw, or grinder depending on the job. Battery compatibility is something experienced tool buyers pay close attention to because batteries are often one of the most expensive parts of cordless tools. Durability is another reason Bauer gets recommended often in discussions about Harbor Freight tools. When cheaper power tools fail, the problems usually appear quickly. Motors overheat under heavier loads, plastic housings crack after a drop, or internal gears wear down faster than expected. Bauer tools tend to hold up better in those situations because they're designed to handle the types of projects homeowners actually take on. That includes cutting framing lumber, drilling into studs, installing deck boards, sanding furniture, or cutting metal brackets during repairs. Reviews across DIY forums and home improvement communities often mention similar experiences. Many buyers say they originally purchased a Bauer tool for a single project, expecting it to be a temporary solution. But after finishing the job, they found themselves continuing to use the same tool on future projects because it kept working reliably. Another detail that helps the brand stand out is ergonomics and usability. Power tools that are uncomfortable to hold or poorly balanced can make even simple projects frustrating. Bauer tools generally feature rubberized grips, balanced weight distribution, and controls that feel familiar to anyone who has used modern cordless tools. And like the other brands on this list, Harbor Freight provides warranty support for Bauer tools. If a tool develops a problem within the warranty period, buyers can usually handle the issue directly through the store, which many homeowners find more convenient than dealing with shipping repairs. For someone building a home workshop, maintaining their own property, or tackling renovation projects, Bauer has become one of Harbor Freight's most widely used power tool brands. It fills a practical space in the market. Tools that are powerful enough for real work, widely available, and affordable enough that homeowners can build a full collection without overspending. And when you look across the Harbor Freight store as a whole, these 5 brands tend to stand out again and again in conversations about durability. Icon for premium hand tools, Doyle for gripping tools, Daytona for lifting equipment, Pittsburgh Pro for everyday mechanical tools, and Bauer for power tools. Because the reality is this: not every brand on the shelf is built to last. But if you know where to look, there are still a few Harbor Freight brands that deliver real value, tools that keep working long after the first project is finished. And now, we'd like to hear from you. Which Harbor Freight brand has held up the best in your toolbox? Share your experience in the comments so other viewers can learn from it. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more practical guides that help you avoid wasting money and choose tools that actually last.